So good afternoon to everyone and welcome Dr. Pratima. So for joining us and sparing your valuable time. So this is the next webinar we are organizing in the series of webinars which we are doing on various topics as a part of the Azadi Mahotsav, Amrit Mahotsav. This is being celebrated all over the country, and I think you must be aware so many events are being organized, and we are organizing at Skill Council. We are organizing the webinar series. We have done more than 25 webinars, and we are trying to cover up all issues, or, all sectors of renewable energy, environment, sustainable development, and these are all akin to the to the goals which we have set up. The 5 goals of Panch Mantra, which our Honorable Prime Minister has declared at the COP26, and of course from the on 15th August on the Independence Day. And one of the main goals, or you can say the 2 goals which are there, which are related to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and also going net zero by 2070. So when we talk of reducing emissions, we do look at urban centers. We have to look at our cities where there is a lot of major activity, economic activity, and there's a lot of consumption of fossil fuels which are leading to these greenhouse gas emissions. So there is a concept, globally, there is a concept which has come into vogue. In fact, when I was in Delhi government, we had the first, conference of mayors from cities. And it was very successful, and where we had discussed the problems of cities. So the concept of smart city has come up, where it is felt that these issues or the problem of sustainability, of better quality of life for the citizens, and of course, are meeting our objectives for this energy transition will be met. So what is a smart city? Smart city will be something where we have all the latest ICT technologies. We have, we have better systems of transport. We have better systems of water supply. We have better systems of waste management. It's a whole lot. And there's a lot of public participation in this smart city. We have to, be public-private, we have to interact with each other. The governor says that we have to interact so that we can make our cities smart. So I feel this concept is very good. We have our national program. In fact, our urban centers, if we say cities, we are already 31% in the urban centers, and we will be soon, touching 40% population in the urban centers with more and more GDP growth in the GDP. So the government of India has launched this national urban mission, this smart city mission 2015, and it aims to make our cities more smarter. Initially, we are doing 100 cities. And I think what Dr. Pratima will tell us, every day there's a ranking, every year there's a ranking of cities. When I was reading, I found Ahmedabad to be there for the last, for 2022. So in terms of development of the smart infrastructure for the cities, and here ICT technologies, telecom, because when you talk of sustainability, you need to measure each and every parameter. When I was in Delhi government, we had the climate change agenda. There was a climate change agenda. There was 65 points, 65 departments, where we had to measure all the data, so that we can make it, reduce the emissions, reduce the pollution problems, and other infrastructure related issues. So this is something which is going to really give us good information. We at Skill Council also, we feel we are also going to develop skilling programs for, providing workforce for the smart cities. It is an interwoven thing, because we are doing skilling for various sectors, but in a consolidated form, as a pattern for smart cities, we will be doing it up in the future. So with this, I am inviting Dr. Pratima Singh, and I met her in one of the conferences on air quality, and I wanted, when she told me about the background of the work which she's doing. So I wanted to invite her, and I wanted that we should all interact with her and listen to her what she is doing for air quality, monitoring the air quality or mitigation of air pollution through smart cities. So she's a research scientist, and she is at the her domain is she's in the air pollution at the Center for Study of Science, Technology and Policy, STEP. I think this is in Bangalore. And she has a PhD in natural resources from Terry University, master's from Maharaja University, Vadodara. And she has worked as a research scientist earlier also, and in one of the companies, and of course with the Gujarat Council for Science and Technology. She received the Senior Research Fellowship of MNRE. We had a research fellow, a program for providing financial support and a fellowship. In fact, it's not a financial support, it's a fellowship for very learned or students, bright students to do their this doctoral research, and she was there. And she has also been a senior research fellow at the University of Birmingham. Her research areas, they are air pollution studies, source apportionment, emission inventory, measurement and monitoring of air pollution sources, renewable energy, sustainable development, and of course, water carbon nexus of water and wastewater infrastructure. So all this are the core elements, core part of any smart city which is going to be developed. And I think today she will really enlighten us and even tell us more and more, and we will learn more and more from her about smart cities and how the latest technological developments, the digitization is helping us to make our cities more livable and more environment friendly. So over to Dr. Pratima, and we'll be listening to her. Thank you once again for joining us, and thank you for taking out time from your conference and being with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen. Hello, good morning to everyone. And I'm really grateful for Dr. Praveen to invite me here on this esteemed platform and sharing my views on air pollution and its connection with the smart cities. As Dr. Praveen has rightly mentioned, that smart cities is basically about smart infrastructure, smart governance system, smart transportation system, telecom system. So that is what we will be talking here about today. I'm just gonna share my slides quickly. Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible, ma'am.
Perfect. So I'll start with the Center for Study of Science Technology Policy, where I work. It is a not-for-profit organization, a think tank, and we basically work with policymakers. We generate a lot of scientific data and do analysis and help policymakers to come to a decision for any city or a state. We work in various domains, right from energy, environment, to renewable energy, climate change, air pollution, artificial intelligence. So we try to, we believe that to have a sustainable, secure, and inclusive society, it is very important that we believe in science. So at the Center for Air Pollution Studies that I lead, we focus on three main pillars. First is measurement and monitoring. So until and unless we measure anything, we cannot come up with solutions, we cannot reduce them. So that is the first and the basic requirement for any environmental concern that we have in the country today. So we focus a lot of different types of monitoring, right from reference grade monitoring to mobile measurements to satellite measurements. And we do a lot of modeling exercises, right from dispersion models to receptor models, techno-economic assessment models. So we do all this analysis, which is also a part of policy analysis. So once we collect data, analyze it, model it, we send the outputs to the policymakers for them to come to a decision. So this is a very holistic approach that we have at Center for Air Pollution Studies at CSTEP. Now, moving to the topic that we have, that air pollution mitigation for smart cities, I would want to focus on what is our understanding about smart cities. So yes, so first of all, are our cities actually smart and are they sustainable? right? That is, we need to understand that very thoroughly. We do know that there are a lot of smart cities in India, but are they really smart? The program that has been floated by the government, is it actually getting implemented on ground or not? So what is smart city? Is basically towards a sustainable city. Smart city is actually, a definition of a sustainable city, which will help improve the quality of life of the citizens. And this can only be done when there is a data-driven approach from all the sectors. As Dr. Praveen rightly mentioned, that a lot of departments are also coming along and they are working towards it. And that is what is required at this stage. A data-driven approach, if we are talk about, then there needs to be a convergence. There needs to be collaboration among the various line departments, various governmental center and the state departments that we work with, because if they are not coming together, we will not have evidence to identify the solutions and get it implemented on the ground. So why do we actually need a smart city? First is to optimize our city functions, improve the efficiency of our day-to-day operations and the services, to promote and diversify the economy and its growth, improve the quality of life of the citizens, and that is the foremost and the topmost objective of a smart city, and prioritize environmental sustainability. All the activities that we are doing is with the vision to improve our environment. So what are the common threats? This is a webinar. I would have loved to ask questions to the audience that what do they think? What are the common threats for any urban agglomeration? First is, urban growth, urbanization, increase in the infrastructural growth, use of energy, waste that is being burned, that is not being treated, everything, the loss of habitat. These are all the common threats that an urban city is facing today. And how do we improve that? So first of all, I would suggest that, we include the local community, the citizen groups, because until and unless there is an awareness created among the citizens group for understanding what a sustainable city is, we cannot see a green city or a sustainable city going forward. No matter how many policies are there or rules and regulations are floated by the government, if it's not getting implemented and carried forward in a sustainable manner by the citizen groups, we will not see a sustainable city or a country going forward. So the solutions is to use cleaner fuel, to reduce air pollution, to have more public and private partnerships, and ultimately to have more greener zones so that it cares for the city and it becomes the lungs of the city. I'm sure we all are aware of the Sustainable Development Goals, and particularly I'm going to focus on the Sustainable Development Goal number 11, which talks about sustainable cities and communities. We have an understanding what a sustainable city is, but to talk in detail, it talks about having good infrastructure, it talks about resilient buildings, it talks about good transportation for the public. It talks about reducing the environmental impacts. It talks about ensuring our culture and heritage is protected. When I say culture and heritage, that means monuments or the buildings that we have within our city. So to have a sustainable city and a community that is sustained and the future is bright, we need to focus on all these aspects in an integrated manner. We cannot, look at all these interventions or the suggestions in silos. Yes, we know that there is a transportation sector in a city. There is a domestic fuel consumption requirement. There is a solid waste management department. There is another fuel and consumption department, but they cannot work in silos anymore. They need to converge at a point where all their interventions are clubbed and it forms a climate action plan for any city. That is what is the requirement. So talking about air pollution, how do we mitigate air pollution through the smart cities? So we have talked about that we need to have a data-driven approach to solve any environmental problem in a city, right? From climate change, and air pollution is a component of the climate change. So let's see, what is air pollution? So any contamination in the air that we see, any contamination, any type, it could be solid, it could be liquid, it could be gaseous, is a form of air pollution. So we have I'm sure everyone would have experienced that during the COVID time, the air pollution levels went down. Many peoples in the north were able to see the Himalayas. Why? Because the air was clean. And that was the background concentration. Because all the transportation activities, all the industries, they were shut down, they were not functioning. And the concentration that we saw at that time, that's called the background concentration. So any change in that background concentration is pollution. It could be presence of particulate matter, noxious gases, toxic chemicals, anything. So we need to be aware about our background concentration and the impact from the pollutants that happens to our ambient air. Right from the moment that we wake up in the morning to the moment that we go back to sleep, nothing is free of air pollution. Every process contributes in some or the other way to the air pollution. Our daily activities, our commute to office, the type of vehicle that we choose, our cooking system in our households, the ACs, everything contributes to the air pollution. And that is one of the major causes, what we can attribute to the deaths that's happening in several parts of the globe. It is very surprising that 91% of the world population live in air polluted zones, that is contaminated air, and that is very severe, and we need to be aware and accountable for the activities that we carry out in day-to-day life. So to understand air pollution, I have just shared few pictures. We might be seeing all these pictures in our day-to-day life, but probably we do not even care about them. All the exhaust that comes from the tailpipe of the vehicles that we drive or that we sit in, the waste burning that is carried out in various pockets of the cities. And this is one of the image from Delhi city. I'm sure people from Delhi would be able to relate to this image, which we usually see during October, November. So this is all pollution. And above that, there is weather conditions. There is meteorological parameters that also impact to the existing air pollution. And that is how we understand whether the air pollution in a city is dangerous or a moderate or a safe. So to take you further on the basics of air pollution, there are three types of pollutants: primary, secondary, and toxic. So primary is basically that comes directly from the sources, like from the chimneys of the industries, from the tailpipe of our vehicles, from the fumes of the waste that is being burned. These are all the primary sources. Now, secondary is when these primary sources rise into our atmosphere, they react with the atmosphere and they form secondary pollutants. And then we have toxic and hazardous, which consist of heavy metals, hydrocarbons, and other substance. So just to make you understand, our primary pollutants consist of particulate matter, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, volatile organic compounds. And the secondary, as I mentioned, when the primary pollutants go to our atmosphere, ambient air, they react with each other, and then they form secondary pollutant, that is basically ozone, sulfates, and nitrates. And then we have toxic or hazardous, which has nickel or cadmium, zinc, chromium. These are basically coming from few from transportation, few from industrial process, metallurgical industries, so paints and chemicals that we use in our day-to-day life. So I just want to highlight here on the fact that Central Pollution Control Board has some standards for the various pollutants in India. And the pollutant, you can see the concentration levels that we have. These are the daily average concentration levels. So for PM10, it's 100 microgram per meter cube, because the particle size of PM10 is a bit larger than compared to PM2.5, which whose standard is 60 microgram per meter cube. So just imagine, I'll talk in detail about that later. So there are 7 criteria pollutants that we focus in India. That is PM, where we talk about PM2.5, PM10, carbon monoxide, ground level ozone, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and lead. So as I was talking that PM 2.5, the daily average is lower than the PM10 because they are the coarser particles. And what are the sources? The pollen, dust, wood burning, fireworks. And as you can see in the image, PM10 particles have the capacity to infiltrate our nasal area and go to our throat area. Okay, that's the impact of PM10 particles. If we talk about PM 2.5 and PM1, so in India, we are still not researching on the PM1, but we have just started talking about PM1. They go deeper to our system, to our lungs, and they infect our lungs in a very drastic manner. I'm sure many people have seen the presentation by Dr. Arvind from Lung Care Foundation, where he's a surgeon and he operates. And in operation theater, he has seen black lungs. And these people are non-smokers. You know, they do not smoke. They do not have any challenges, health challenges, and their lungs are black. Why? Because we are living in a contaminated air around us. And that is what is creating all this health impact. And going beyond that, we are talking now about ultra fine particles, that is PM 0.1. We are still not talking about it, but there are countries globally who are researching on it, and they have identified that these ultrafine particles, they have the capacity to infiltrate and get absorbed in our blood vessels and cause deeper harm, cancerous disease, Alzheimer's, and other such hereditary diseases can also be caused due to these finer particles. And what are the sources? If we see, car exhaust, wood and agricultural burning, cooking activities, bacteria, fungi, virus, everything. So everything around us is causing pollution, and we need to be aware of it. So to draw your attention to what are the sources, outdoor sources, I'm sure most of you would be aware of it, right from household cooking to industrial emissions, non-road vehicles, that is heavy commercial vehicles, to power plants, forest fires, diesel operated vehicles, natural sources. So all these contribute to outdoor pollution. And similarly, we have indoor air pollution. So if you're thinking that, indoors we are safe, we are breathing good air, sorry to burst your myth. No, indoor also we face a lot of air pollution. These are the sources, pollutants from various sources, right from the furniture that we are using, right from the air condition, right from the paints, the paints that we use on the wood, everything, contributes to the finer particles that we breathe in on a daily basis. Now, I had mentioned that meteorology plays a very important role in air pollution. So right from solar radiation to wind speed and wind direction, to humidity, to temperature, everything contributes either to enhance the pollution levels or disperse the pollution. So if there is a lot of precipitation, there's rainfall in the city, the coarser particles, they settle down and the air becomes cleaner, and we can see the blue skies. If there's a lot of wind, so what happens when there is high speed wind? It carries the dust from one place, one city to other city. And we have seen that example in the past, that when there was a dust storm in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, we could see its impact in India also, right through the Indo-Gangetic plain. So it's not, air pollution is not confined to a city or a specific region. It impacts across the boundaries also. And metrology does play a lot an important role in that. And hence, to understand air pollution in a deeper way, it is very crucial that we understand the metrology of that area as well. So we now know what are the sources, right from transportation, industry, construction and demolition activities, solid waste management, diesel generator sites, road dust, domestic and commercial activities. Now it becomes crucial and interesting to identify what are the activities within each of these sectors that is contributing to the pollution. So when we say data-driven approach, this is where the data-driven approach needs to be employed, and to understand that we need to have an understanding on each and every activity within the sector to, first of all, estimate what is the pollution load, second, to understand what type of interventions will be required, and then to develop a strategy. So as I mentioned, for understanding the control measures, and preparing the control measures for all the activities that we have identified, we need to have a very robust system in the country. As of now, we are under the National Clean Air Program. We have a framework, we are developing it further in collaboration with the cities, but to execute it on ground, we need to have a strong audit system in place. Until and unless there is a check and balance on the systems that we are following, we cannot have a success rate for to see a drastic change in our air pollution levels. So we need to have technological interventions, we need to have reforms in place, and then we need to have an audit system for our control measures to work effectively on ground. And once we have identified our control measures, do not think that they can be replicated in other cities. Yes, there are few interventions like for transportation, for specific type of industries, for construction and demolition, but every city is unique in its way. The landscape is different, the geographical condition is different, and hence every city needs to be studied in a specific manner for us to provide a list of control measures that can be implemented on ground. Now, we have mentioned that we need to have a data-driven approach. And for that, when we analyze our data, when we prepare strategies, the science needs to meet policy. The science that we have created needs to be communicated to the policymaker, and then only we can have an effective and sustainable governance, which will help us to see a better sustainable city. The evidence needs to be communicated to the policymakers, and it is also of utmost important that that evidence needs to be communicated to the citizens, because it will help them to educate, it will help them to create awareness, and that will drive the implementation on ground. You need to have data dissemination sessions for the various departments. So just creating science and creating reports and writing papers, it's not going to help solve the problem. Now, we think that we have carried out study, we have launched a report, but and that is the end of everything. Sorry, that is where the real work starts, because you need to take that science and you need to reach out to every single department in a city or in a state or a country and communicate the science in a simpler language, so that they understand what are the technologies available, what are the interventions required, and how they need to be implemented, what strategy would be the best, what would be the infrastructure requirement, what would be the budget requirement. And this needs to be communicated effectively to all the departments, the government system. So I'm highlighting here few of the science that will help us to understand air pollution in a better way. So Two important studies that we talk about is emission inventory and a source apportionment study. These are top-down and bottom-up approaches. So emission inventory is what I talked about, that we need to understand what are the sectors that are polluting, and within that sectors, what are the various activities. So we need to understand them, quantify them, and then understand what is the total emission load coming from each sector. And that is put into a model which will help you to understand how these pollutants are dispersed in a city. And similarly, in a source apportionment study, you collect air samples from these reference grid monitors that are placed in the city. You collect on a 24 basis, 8-hour basis for PM10, PM2.5. Then you do rigorous chemical analysis to understand what are the elements, ions, elemental and organic carbon, what are the molecular markers coming out from these pollutants. And once you have an understanding of these chemical characterization of your air pollution, you then run through a dispersion model, receptor model, to identify and pin down the sources that, okay, this much percentage is coming from, let's say, cement industry, this much percentage is coming from road dust. So that helps you to understand the spread of pollutants and the sources of the pollutants in any city. And then you go ahead and carry out different scenario analysis to understand what could be the best possible interventions that will help you reduce your emission load in the city in a effective manner. So to talk about, when we talk about sustainable cities, we talk about infrastructure, we talk about industries, we talk about transportation, we talk about waste burning. So today I'm going to focus on 2 or 3 major sectors that are polluting, and how do we interpret them, in what way. So here are the list of various, industries that are basically found in a city, right from coal mining. We can see in Chhattisgarh, in Jharkhand, there are a lot of coal mining industries, smelting units, cement plants, steel manufacturing units, paint, brick kilns, and stubble burning is also categorized as one of the polluting sectors. And there are very harmful pollutants that are emitted from these type of industries. We can see right from copper, zinc, cadmium, arsenic, sulfur, lead, which are extremely harmful to human health. And I've just mentioned down some short-term effects. What are the short-term effects that a human health will be, exposed to, like headache, coughing, skin irritation? I myself, when I am traveling on road, and if the car windows are rolled down, you inhale a lot of smoke right from the tailpipe emission, from the dust that is getting resuspended, and definitely your throat feels dry, you get headaches. So these are all short-term impacts that we are facing due to air pollution. Long-term effects, as we saw in the previous picture, it impacts our nervous system. We have cardiovascular problems, we have respiratory disease, and we have studied that these impacts are not restricted to you only. If there are pregnant ladies, that impact of air pollution is, transferred to the newborn babies as well. So we need to understand the severity of these pollutants around us and start taking precautionary measures, start noticing our activities itself, what we are doing in our day-to-day basis, so that we do not contribute to already existing pollution in the environment. Talking about transportation. So in most of the cities in India, transportation is a major contributor to pollution. All the diesel exhaust, all the exhaust that is coming from diesel operated vehicles. I have seen in few of the cities in India that still that old black big autos are still plying, fuming a lot of black smoke. We see all the heavy commercial vehicles that ply within the city, which are operated by the government to collect your solid waste, to transfer the waste from one place to other place. All the compactors, the tractors, trailers, all the vehicles that are being used by the construction sites to, transfer the construction materials, right from sand to gravels and everything. they all contribute hugely to the emissions from the transportation sector. And we have few systems in our country, right from pollution under control certificates. We need to get our vehicle inspected every 6 months. But are we ensuring that we are doing it on regular basis? I have seen that, if our certificate has expired, we'll say that, okay, fine, I'll go and get it checked. But we do not understand that if your vehicle is not in a good condition, it's going to add to the pollution levels. And all these heavy commercial vehicles, they have a vintage of more than 15 years, 20 years, and they are not operated properly. So who is responsible for these vehicles plying on road and spewing so much of smoke, which is infecting our lungs? The government bodies, most of these vehicles are under them on contractual basis. So we need to educate the government departments that they need to be shifted to a cleaner technology. They need to be converted to electric vehicles, or they need to use CNG fuel for them to be clean and not polluting. So we talked about diesel and petrol exhaust. In heavy vehicles, there is pollution caused by the brake and the engine and the clutch and the tear wire. We would not have imagined that these small, the engines and the brake and tear and the clutch, they also produce VOCs, volatile organic carbons. Recently, I was in a conference where I was talking about air pollution. That's an industry called Toray India. It's basically a Japanese company who are working on creating a filter that can be put in a car cabin, which can absorb all the volatile organic carbons. So if you're driving in a car with your windows up, ACs on for a couple of hours, many people start feeling dizziness. It is all because of the volatile organic carbons that you experience. So once in a while, if you're on a long drive, you need to put down your window so that you get in fresh air and the VOCs can go out. So these are small but very important aspects in our day-to-day life that we need to be, taking care of. India, India is a country, we have a landscape where we see dust everywhere. We see dust accumulated on the sides of the road. We see a lot of digging that happens from the various departments. Either it could be for gas lines, it could be telephone lines, or it could be water lines. Every time there is digging, and there are construction materials that keeps lying on the roadside. All these adds to the resuspension of the dust. With the wind, these dust is carried from one place to other, which adds to the total pollution and impacts us. So all this needs to be taken care. We have a few policies. We are talking about cleaner technologies. There is a lot of promotion of EV vehicles in the country, but we do not have proper scrapage facilities. We are talking about scrapage policy also, but we do not yet have a proper infrastructure where the older vehicles can be scraped and newer EV technology or a newer good fuel vehicles can be brought into the city. So these are when we devise a policy, we have to look at what is the infrastructure that is available, what is the new infrastructure that would be required, and how much time it will take to get a policy to be implemented on ground. So these are some of the basic aspects that we need to consider while devising interventions, devising our policies on ground. And why I'm talking about policies and interventions, because if they are not in place, if they are not implemented on the timeline suggested, it's going to impact everyone, right from the driver who is driving the vehicle, to the street vendors who are operating on the streets, to the kids who go to school through these traffic areas. Everyone will be affected. And yes, we do not care much because we have to reach office. We do not think that there are schools, there are hospitals, there are sensitive areas which will be affected by such a dirty transportation system in the country. So I'm just presenting here an example of a transportation system. This is from one of my study that we carried out in the city of Patna. So we suggested few interventions like introduction of buses. In the city of Patna at that time when we carried out study, in the name of public transportation, there were only 32 buses present. And when we talk about transportation system to reduce emission, we need to focus on sustainable public transportation. There needs to be end-to-end connectivity. There needs to be good cleaner fuel buses or good interconnected trains that can take up mobility at a sustainable stage. So we try to introduce these EV buses or CNG operated buses, and we saw that if we are introducing such EV or CNG buses, it was helping to reduce PM 2.5 levels by 11 to 9%, and that was helping to save around 350 to 400 lives when we talk about mortality levels. As I mentioned, yes, Patna also had these big black autos that were plying on the city roads. And if we introduce CNG operated autos or EV autos, that they would help reduce pollution by 4%. Our PUC centers need to be, the instruments that are being used at the PUC centers, they need to be calibrated on regular basis. And how we can check all these things? There needs to be a centralized system. Again, we are talking about data-driven approach. The data needs to be in the public domain for everyone to see and analyze how these PUC centers are operating, whether the number of vehicles checked on a monthly basis or an yearly basis are performing well or not. So there is a system as of now where all the PUC centers operating in a city, the center has an access to that, but it needs to be in the public domain for everyone to understand how these centers are operating, how much vehicles are getting checked on daily basis, how many total registered vehicles are there in the city which are not getting checked on regular basis. So what is the gap? And that is where we need to start working on. We had also proposed installation of diesel particulate filters. So it has been observed that in globally, there are many countries who have introduced diesel particulate filter, which has helped to reduce the diesel emissions coming out from these heavy commercial vehicles. But in India, we are still exploring whether in Indian conditions, this will be functional or not. I mean, they have an efficiency of around 75 to 80% to reduce emissions. But there are few climate challenges also, because they increase the CO2 emissions. But so there's an in-depth study that we need to carry out on such filters. And then when we talk about introducing EV buses or promoting CNG as a fuel, there needs to be some incentive provided by the government so that these auto drivers who are still using two-stroke autos can shift to an battery operated auto or a EV operated vehicle. And for that, if there is some push that comes from the government in terms of incentives, that would be helpful for them to shift to a cleaner technology. Now, talking about domestic fuel consumption, we have understood that the Ujjwala scheme that is being floated in the country, that has helped to increase the number of LPG connections. But there's a lot of challenge. You can see that 2.3 million deaths globally are reported or attributable to indoor or household air pollutions. At present, when we are talking about air pollution, we talk about cities, smart cities. But we seldom forget that there are rural areas, there are suburban areas where people are still using coal or wood or cow dung for cooking. And forget about the rural areas. In the city of Bangalore, where I'm sitting, there are some unauthorized slums where people still use wood for heating water. So all these practices, yes, it's contributing to air pollution, but we need to understand that the women who sits and cooks using this dirty fuel is impacted the most. The women, the children who are living in a confined space in suburban areas, in the rural areas where there is no proper ventilation facility. They inhale the same air pollutants on daily basis, 3 times when they cook the food. It's really harmful, right from solid fuel, that is wood burning, cow dung cakes, and the crop residues, to kerosene. Everything is contributing to the pollution here. And it is really impacting a lot to the women, to the elderlies, to the kids. So we need to start promoting cleaner cook stoves in the suburban areas, in the rural areas, and we need to ensure that we are not using dirty fuels within the city boundary. There are a lot of eateries also. I would want to add here that there are a lot of eateries, and we all love to eat tandoor food that is cooked in the tandoor. um, but have we realized that how much pollution that adds to our daily life? The coal that goes into preparing these tandoori food. We just carried out a survey in Bangalore city, and we saw that all these barbecue places, they use on an average around 300 to 400 kgs of coal on daily basis. That's huge. But then yes, they do have some filter system, so that captures the pollutants. But all the dhabas and the roadside eateries who are using this coal and wood or charcoal, they do not have any filters. That pollutants are directly going to our ambient air and polluting us. So we need to have a mechanism. We cannot just stop all these activities tomorrow itself. It cannot be done, because we need to think about sustainable future, sustainable cities. We need to think about the livelihood of such people as well. And hence we need to come up with some strategies which can sustain the livelihood of such people and also reduce the environmental concerns going forward. So what are the actions required? Right from understanding the health impacts, we also need to understand the occupational health hazards. People who are working in such hazardous industries, people who are working in brick kilns or in coal minings or metallurgical industries, we need to understand all those things very thoroughly for to understand the impact on the human health. And for that, data is the basic necessity. Everywhere it starts with the data. You collect the data from the departments, you involved citizen groups to gather data, you analyze the data, understand the challenges, identify the interventions, and come up with solutions. Be it industries, transportation sector, domestic sector, solid waste management, any sector you pick it up, data is the basic necessity. And under smart cities, we have a mechanism of data-driven platforms. And that is where everything, can be made sustainable. If our smart cities have a mechanism, a uniform platform across all the cities where the data is stored for all the sectors, it becomes easy for us to monitor and manage our climate and air as well. And right from water to energy that we are using, to the air that we are breathing, to the infrastructure that we are living in, everything can be monitored efficiently. And that is where I just wanted to talk a bit on the air pollution and climate linkage also. I have spoken about how meteorology plays an important role. But if we talk about air pollution and the solar radiation that we get, if we talk about the temperature change that is happening, change in the weather patterns, everything is going to contribute to the climate hugely going forward. Air pollution is just a small, a section for the entire climate. But we need to understand the amount of heat that is being generated from the industries, the pollutants that are being generated from the various sectors. When they go in the environment, they mix with each other, react with each other. They are impacting climate in a very, very harmful manner. And for us to achieve the zero emissions target by 2070, every small aspect of air pollution needs to be taken care of. And same is for ground level ozone. We are impacting that also with all the air pollution that is created on the earth. So talking about the health impacts, 13% of all the deaths in India was attributed to chronic respiratory disease, and this is all because of the air pollution. 49% of chronic obstructive pulmonary disorders were attributed again to air pollution. And India's national health policy, which was framed in 2017, it says, by 2025, these early deaths from respiratory issues need to be reduced by 25%. And that can only be possible if we are focusing on the air pollutants around us. Just to touch upon the National Clean Air Program that was launched by MOFCC in 2019, it also targets that by 2024, we need to reduce our pollution by 25 to 30%. And if we are able to achieve that, it's already 2022, we are still having frameworks developed, we are still having micro action plans and state level action plans prepared. We have got only 2 years to implement our strategies and see the reduction. Yes, this is a very ambitious target, but until and unless everyone comes along, right from academic institutions to think tanks to CSOs to citizens group, if they are not coming together and they are not working in collaboration with the government, and then in the government also there needs to be convergence within the departments, across the departments, for us to achieve this target going forward. And this is where I would want to emphasize on the term collaboration more and more, because without collaboration, without convergence, it will be difficult for us to reduce the environmental concerns and impact in the country and across the group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pratima. It was a very enlightening, and I'm really overwhelmed by your presentation, in which you have tried to cover up all the aspects. In fact, a smart city has to take, every urban center has to take into account all the factors. I just want to know that you said the problems regarding the data. When I was doing the climate action plan for Delhi, the baseline data was not available. So how do you get the baseline data? We wanted to do a project where we can generate the baseline data. And do you take 90-90 levels for the, as per the Rio, and all? How do you do it? Okay, please.
See, definitely it is very important, as you mentioned, generate the baseline data, right? So who is going to generate this data? We completely rely on our government departments to come up with this data or have a repository of this data. But how are they going to do it until and unless, we educate them what kind of data is required? So I have faced this problem that whenever I meet these government departments, I say that these are the activities for which I need data. And they say that, sorry, we do not have such data with us. What we have is a consolidated data. See if it is useful to us. So then we, make them aware, we educate them that these are the kind of activities that you should be looking at. These are the kind of data points that you should be, collecting and preparing a repository. So yes, when a baseline data is required, I think more crucial and the important aspect is that we need to educate the departments. We need to educate the officials. Yes, all the higher level, officials, they are educated, they know, but they cannot look after these day-to-day objectives that is required. So we need to reach out to these departments, make them understand, educate them, and then it is when we will start collecting data, and then we can decide, what should be the baseline for what kind of study. Yes, climate, we need to look at a window of 25 to 30 years. And whatever data we had in the past, we are using it because that is the only option we have. Yeah, we do not have any other option. Right.
Yeah. Physical targets are very easy to achieve. Correct. But quantifying it is it's a huge job.
Right.
Anything. You are working in 4 cities, no, for the smart city program, like you told me. So what do you think? Because it is just a 5-year program, and it is I think 5 years have already gone. So what sort of success you see or you perceive in these, or what sort of change you have seen in these cities after this thing?
Okay, so to update you, we are working in 76 non-attainment cities in India
Okay.
that are identified by CPCB. And then we are extensively working in the state of Jharkhand, Punjab, and Karnataka. So as you rightly said, half of the time has gone under the National Clean Air Program, and what change have we seen? So frankly speaking, air pollution is not something, that it's a genie wand, you just have a wand around and everything is solved. No, when we did not have any system in place, what the National Clean Air Program has helped is to help everyone understand that a framework is required. And that is what the program has helped to understand, not only make it understand not only to the departments, the pollution control boards, but also to the urban local bodies, to the various line departments. And I'm really happy that this is not a success, but yes, we are on the path of the success. When we have understood these frameworks, we know what are the challenges, and we have understood that these are the sectors that we need to look at. These are the kind of activities that needs to be measured and monitored going forward. And this is a framework where we need to evaluate and analyze. So the process is in place now. Okay. Yes, we have invested 2 years, but we have invested good 2 years in understanding the process. Now it is completely in the ball of the various line departments to take that knowledge and start the implementation work.
So you will not be involved in the implementation there. They have to do it themselves. Even
Yes.
the state action plans for climate change, climate action plan, are they in place, or are they still, because I attended some meetings, UNDP meetings and all, where the plans, it was a huge format and it was a huge data.
Correct. So yes, most of the states, they have their climate action plan in place, but now they are trying to revise this climate action plan in accordance with the air pollution also, because air pollution and climate, they need to go hand in hand. We cannot have 2 separate plans and then work. It will divide our energy and the resources. So to have smart cities, we need to converge both the plans.
So when you say that Ahmedabad is on the top, so what is specific, what is special about it? Like, I just want to know some criteria for ranking or what is it?
So Ahmedabad, it was way ahead of the curve when we started the National Clean Air Program, because there was a lot of activities already carried out in understanding the pollution, understanding the solid waste sector, understanding the water sector, and they already had a plan in place before the other cities they started. So yes, that is why it's performing well.
Yeah. So I don't see any hands or any. I think the entire presentation was very good and very, it could correlate everything in a very, and you've given a very detailed analysis about the type. We would love to have interacted more with you. I don't want to keep you away from your conference.
Well, I think either the presentation was not clear enough that there are no questions.
No, I don't think. I think it was too clear. It was too this thing, and it's not that it was not clear. And it was a very comprehensive presentation. I have people here. If you want, we can invite some comments.
I'm glad and happy that it was comprehensive and we could all relate to it.
We have a good number of participants. Even Arpo is there. Then we have Colonel Rohit Dev also. In fact, the number went up to 60 for the participants. Yeah. So in case Arpo, you have to say something, or Colonel Rohit, if you have to say something, some comments. And Dr. Gowda is also there from Bangalore. I think we never had so much of attendance in any of the webinars, what we have experienced today. So it's a very interesting. Yes, please.
Yeah, ma'am, I think Dr. Pratima ने बहुत ही अच्छे से explain किया है जो presentation and I think a very informative knowledge मिला सबको.
I think we have Colonel Rohit.
I think,
Yeah. So Colonel Rohit, would you like to please come up and yeah, even Arpo has raised his hand. Colonel Rohit, please.
I'm sorry, now I'm unmuted.
Yeah, please.
So thank you so much for this. I think the lady has been absolutely passionate about what she has said. I would like to interact, ma'am, after you finish a few of these sessions. I think there is a lot of synergy which can develop between your organization, our organization, and also helping of places and people like her. I think let's get together, because hearing is one, meeting and trying to see how the three of us can combine and join hands to take it, because I think in the skill part it is not mandated, but when you talk about the climate and you talk about the data basing of this particular aspect, in which how you are conserving the environment, how what we are doing is helping the environment, I think that is where we need to sit down and have a chat as well. And then see which ministry and which organizations like ours and theirs and yours can collaborate to take this aspect, because one fine day there will be a carbon credit mechanism which will be very robust even in India, and since we are going to lead the energy transition in the green energy, we should also take the lead to start doing something about it now.
Yeah, thank you. Colonel Rohit is from Punjab Renewable Energy Systems, and they're doing a lot of work on agro residue utilization through cogen techniques and other techniques, So it's very, I think, stubble burning, they are after it, They want to reduce all the problems and see how best it can be used.
I was recently in Punjab, and I myself saw the amount of stubble that is being burned, and it's huge, and you cannot even imagine. So I was traveling from Mohali to Ludhiana to Bhatinda, Amritsar, and it's like entire Malwa belt is burning right now. And you could see the difference of gray sky and the blue sky. It's really, and plus there's a lot of bricklins that adding to that smoke as well. So yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I see one hand. Arpo has Arpo. Mr. Ram, yeah.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, Arpo. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. Hi, how are you, ma'am? I think Pratima ma'am has wonderfully presented her topic, and it is like music to my ears. Like I'm doing research on air pollution for last 3-4 months in the manpower modeling, which you all have participated in the month of March in IHC.
Yeah.
So this air pollution problem is a very big problem, and there are a huge number of people which are going to be involved in this problem. Because when we do any research questions, we have majorly 5 different questions: why, what, whom, where, when, how. The thing is that who was missing in this whole context? Like every questions, every issue which we have, we try to resolve it by ourselves, what we can do, how we can do. But here delegation of power is something I think in the sector of air quality is required to be identified. Every one person or one agency or one organization cannot do anything that is defined in that, and we have faced this problem that we give responsibility to one organization, CPCB or SPCB or ULB, you do this, and it is not happening. So I think division of responsibilities, and different organizations have different kind of responsibility, different people will have different kind of responsibility set to their job role. Then only this kind of robust mechanism of reducing ambient air pollution or air pollution from stacks or stationary sources or mobile sources can come in place. So Pratima ma'am's presentation is very nice, and many of the points it 100% matched with the research which I'm doing. And soon, I think within like 10-15 days, our paper will be out, where we will be mapping all the roles, responsibilities of people who will be working in air quality sector and what kind of skills we need to build for.
Wonderful. Looking forward to that.
Skill Council also is a part of it. Yeah, you were there, and I think we will be able to come out with what sort of workforce we need for this sector. And that is also very important. It has to, like he said, everything has to go hand in hand. We have to look forward to working together.
Right.
So I think I should thank you and allow you to go back to your conference.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me here.
Very much. And,
thank you, everyone.
It is very much. And again, any inconvenience,
No, perfectly fine, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice
Thank
day. Yeah.
you, Dr. Pratima.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.